What's up, guys? This is Boredom here. So today I'm going to be telling you I'm going to be continuing my DLive bot tutorial and telling you how to do song requests. So there's going to be a couple of things that we need to set up first because there isn't really an easy way to do this. The way that I handle this with my personal bot is I use Firefox and Selenium. And Selenium is basically, it allows you to control the browser. So basically have it go to the YouTube video page, and then you can control it to skip it and then go to the next song and so on and so on. So the first thing we need to do is we need to download Firefox. I believe Selenium also has support with Chrome, but I use Firefox. So, and this is what this tutorial is going to be based on. So go to Firefox, download now, then install it. Take note to what drive and stuff you install it to if that is an issue for you if you have multiple drives. And then do that and then come back. Alright, so now that you have Firefox installed and it's working, what we're going to need now is something called geckodriver. And this is the driver that's going to allow us to control Firefox. So just DuckDuckGo geckodriver. Don't Google it. I don't care, but I recommend DuckDuckGo. And then click on this first GitHub link from Mozilla, and then scroll down and download the latest release. Depending on what you use, I use Windows 64, so I'm going to download this. And then once you have this downloaded, then just put it wherever you want to your computer. Take note of where it is. I'm going to be putting it into my document. And after you download geckodriver, it's actually going to be a zip, so all you have to do is extract that zip and then put the file into wherever you want. And if you don't know how to extract zips, you could use something like WinRAR or 7-zip. Alright, so now that we have Firefox and geckodriver installed and in the right place where you want it, now the only thing left we have to do is to install Selenium. All you have to do is go over to your command prompt. If you don't know how to open command prompt, just search for CMD and it'll come up and you can open it. Then just do pip install Selenium. And then I already have it installed, but if you don't have it installed, then it'll go ahead and install, and then you're ready to follow along the tutorial, assuming that you already have Python installed and you followed along with the previous tutorials. Alright, so now that you have Selenium, Firefox, geckodriver all installed and set up, now we're going to move over to the actual coding part. Now this is assuming that you watched the previous tutorials and that you also have a Python 3 version installed on your computer. Now, I'm going to be just starting off from where I left off in the second episode, so if you didn't watch those episodes and you want to just start from here, then I will have the code and a paste bin in the description. So the first thing that we're going to do for this song request bot is we're going to be making the commands for that's going to control the song request bot. So that is like SR to request, skip to skip, next song, current song, stuff like that. So we're going to head over and we're going to go down to where we have our Discord command. And this is the section where we handle our commands and our code. And we're going to put in this. I'm just going to be copying and pasting here just so the tutorial is quicker and easier. So we're going to be splitting. Basically what this is we're taking the arguments from a command and splitting them. So if you have exclamation point SR space and then a link, basically you take the SR and you separate it into a different string than the link. So you could actually just go to the link instead of worrying about the SR. Then we're going to have some if statements. And I'm just going to paste the logic in for the actual song request. So I'll go over the code here. If SR is in message, the lowercase, so that the lowercase basically says that people could do exclamation point SR or lowercase r. It doesn't matter, which I prefer, but you could easily just get rid of that. You just get rid of the dot lower. But here, all you do is it checks the second part. So after a space, so the syntax will be SR and then a link. So it basically splits the text by the link, by the space. So then check that the song has not ever been requested so people can't fill the queue with the same song. This is what this does. it checks basically for duplicates. Then verify that it's a legitimate YouTube link. This basically checks that if it's in mobile format or if it's in regular format. And then if it is, then it adds it to the song list, and it adds it to the username who requested it to the requesters list, which we will be making that later. But for now, this is what we're working on. So then it so here's where it's up to user choice. If you want a message to be sent in your chat that the song has been requested, then you could do send message song requested, and that will utilize the send message function that we made in the previous tutorial. Otherwise, you could just have it print to your console. It's up to you. And then there's an else statement here, and if it's not a valid link, then invalid song request. And you could handle this however you want. You could say please request only YouTube, or you could just not print anything at all. It's up to you. And then here, and you could also put an else here. So then it will say like, you already requested this, or something similar to that. If you have basic knowledge of Python, you can expand upon this, obviously. Then here is just a try and accept. I use a lot of try and accepts in my bot just to catch things, because in real-time production, you don't really want your bot to crash and not work at all. So basically, this means if it encounters an error at all in trying to figure out what the link is, then it'll just say invalid song request, which is pretty much a catch-all thing. Now, moving on, we want to be able to skip song. Now, you also have another choice here, whether if you want to be the only one who could skip the song, or if you want your mods to be able to skip a song. So basically what you do here is, if the skip is in message.lore or SS, you could change this. If you just want it to be skip, just get rid of that. Or if you just want it to be SS, you can get rid of the first part, whatever you want to do. Now, what I have here is just, if you want to be able to skip the songs, and only you, display name is a variable up here in the config part of the code. So my display name on DLive is disportum. So that means that it basically checks that if the message was sent by me, then it'll skip. Otherwise, it won't do anything. Now, if you want your mods to be able to skip, then you just have to make a Python list of the list of your mods on DLive and their usernames on DLive, their display names. Then you'll just use this, and then just get rid of this. But for now, we're just going to say that you're the only one who wants to be able to skip a song. And for the record, it doesn't have to be your mods. It can be whoever you put into a list. So here, if you just want to send a message or print that you successfully skipped the song, it's up to you. Then what you do is you pop the first index of the song list and the requester list, and then set song is playing is equal to false. And this is using a bunch of stuff that we haven't used yet or declared yet, and we will get to that in a second. Now, the last two things. This is very useful if people want to know what, like, if their song is coming up next, or if they really like the song that's playing and if they want the link so you don't have to send it to them. Basically, next song, or NS, again, you can change it to whatever you want. And basically, it just prints the second index of the list, which the first index of the list is always the song that's playing. The second is the one that's going to play next. And it tells you who requested the next song. And then if there isn't, then it tells you to request one. Then the current song, it's the first index of the list. And it sends a link in the chat, so it's very useful if people are like, oh, what's this song? I really like it. So you don't have to be constantly sending links in your chat. Okay, so now that we have the commands done, now we're going to be making the actual song handler function. Now, I actually forgot to include the imports, so we're going to head and do that now. Because now that we have Selenium installed, we need to have these imports to be able to use it. So again, I'm going to be having this code in the description, so if you just want to copy it, then you could do that, or if you just want to type it out. We're using Firefox Profile, Firefox Binary, and we're using the WebDriver from. Then since we're going to be handling the song request bot at the same time as our DLive bot, which could have other commands, whatever you use. We're also going to be using Python's threading. Basically, that means that you could do things simultaneously. So you could have it basically running on two different threads of your CPU. If that makes sense. So now that we have those imports, sorry, I forgot about that. I'm also going to be including a fix real quick. Basically, if you're not in the developer program for DLive, then your auth key changes periodically, and also if DLive changes their backend, then the persisted query, the hash which contains data for the send message function, can also change as well. And that will basically break your bot so that your bot can't send messages. It will still work, but it won't be able to send messages. So this is the new hash for the latest DLive backend. And what you basically have to do is you have to take this variable, come down here to send message function, which is over here. And then right here where this is the old hash, you have to use that persistent query. So then if your bot ever breaks, all you have to do is go into the network tab on whatever browser you use. And then it'll be under request payload, extensions, persistent query, and then the SHA-256 text. And it's the same thing with your auth key. Unfortunately, if you're not in the developer program on DLive, then these things change. Now, if you want to be in the developer program for DLive, then you have to apply. And then they give you a bot account, essentially, which the auth key never changes. And then you'll be able to go through their official API where these things don't change. So it is annoying, but it's what we have to go through. So now that we have all of that done, now we're going to be making the actual song request function. Before we start off here, we're going to be making the variables, declaring the variables that we're going to be using. So there's 3 variables that we use. We just titled this here as song handler, and it's the list of songs, the requesters, which is useful to see who requested a song. And then if a song is playing currently. So then we're going to be making a function called the song handler. I'm just going to copy and paste the rest of this just for the interest of time. And basically we need to make these variables global so that they change throughout the whole script and not just in the local environment of our function. Then do that right now. And then we have the main song loop. Let's paste that in. So I'll go over this. So this is the main loop while true, which means that this will constantly go through, which we want songs to be playing constantly. So that's why that is an always true loop. So the first thing it checks is if there's no song playing. So if the song is playing is equal to false. Then it checks if there are no songs if there is a song in the queue, and if there is a song in the queue, then it will get that song. If not, then it will say loading, and it'll say song is playing is equal to true. Now, ignore this cleanup thing. I'm going to be telling you about that after we go through the function, but just put that there for now. So then if there are no songs in the queue, so let's just say you just started up the bot and nobody requested a song yet, then this is optional, but I use MIDI URL, and basically what this is it allows you to pick a random song from a YouTube playlist. So all you do is you go to midiurl.com, and then you could link your playlist, and it'll give you this MIDI URL thing. And then basically when you go to it, it'll take you to a random video in a YouTube playlist. So this is useful for when there's no song next in the queue, but you still want music to be playing. So then you could make a playlist of your favorite music, whatever music you want to be on stream, and it'll pick a random video. So then it just requests auto request so people know that it was auto requested. And then it'll load up a random video from the playlist, set the song is playing equal to true, and it says now playing a song because the song list is empty, alerting people that they should request a song because there are none in the queue. Now if there is a song playing, this is the part where the bot will auto play the next song once the current song is over. So basically this executes a script to get the player state. So once the player state says that the song is over, the YouTube video is over rather, then if the element is equal to 0, which means that the song is over and the video player is not playing, then it will say song over, and then it will pop the current song from the list, and it will say song is playing is equal to false. And then the next time it goes to the loop, it will check if there's a song. If not, it'll play another one. And if there's an error, checking if the video is over. So basically, if something weird happens, this could happen when if you're not logged in on the Firefox browser and a song is age restricted or something like that, or if a song is not available in your country due to copyright, stuff like that can impose a loading error. So then it'll just attempt to skip the song and go to the next one, and if there's no next song to go to, then it'll play an auto. So that's the song handler function. That's all you need. And then the only thing we need to do yet is tell this to run on a different thread, because currently this will run on the same thread, and it will basically not allow us to handle regular chat commands at the same time as handling the song handler. So basically this is just a thread syntax. You basically say thread1 is equal to thread, and then what function you want this thread to run, which is the song handler, and then start the thread. And this will automatically call this function, and it will be constantly running because we have an always true loop. So to finish up, I'm going to explain the cleanup function. So basically there is a slight problem with using Selenium for song requests, and that is that every time you load a website, Selenium doesn't by default delete it from your temporary files. So if you're running the song request bot for multiple hours, it could actually fill up your temp folder, which in turn uses your disk space. Obviously temporary because it's only your temp folder, but it can pose some problems. So I have this cleanup function here, which I will paste in here. And again, all the code is going to be in the description if you don't want to copy this. But two imports here, OS and shootail. And basically this allows us to go through our temp folder and delete all of the temp files that Selenium makes. So this file path here is obviously for my name on my PC. So whatever your username is, to find that, just go to see users, and you'll see whatever you named your computer, or whatever you have as your name on your computer, and then just replace that with your name, and then do that for the same here. And then basically we'll check for TMP and Rust Mozilla profile, and those are the temp files that it makes in your temp folder. And then basically every time it loads a new song, it'll make that, and it'll delete the temporary files from the last song, and so that way that it won't use up all your disk space. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to set up the actual Firefox browser and do things like install Adblock if that's what you want to do. It's optional. And we need to basically make the Firefox profile or link it to it in our code so that Selenium knows what profile to use. So start up Firefox, and then in the URL box at the top of Firefox, type in about:profiles. Press enter, and then you'll come here. Now I have multiple profiles. I'm not sure how many come with the a freshly installed Firefox, but the important one is the default, and that's most likely the one you're using right now. So then what you would want to do is you would want to download Adblock, whatever you want. Just click on it, install, add the Firefox, and then if you want to play songs that might be age restricted on YouTube, you need to go to youtube.com and sign into your YouTube account as well. And then what you need to do is you need to take note of this profile file path. So as you can see, my profile link is here. So then come over to our code and copy this one. We're going to copy the root directory, and then we're going to come back over to our Python file. Now, once we're back to our Python file, we're going to come up here, And here's where we're going to be declaring our last variables. So we're going to set the profile variable equal to a new Firefox profile. The profile is capital. Then we're going to paste in that file path that we just got from Firefox for our Firefox profile. Now we're going to set the driver equal to this. And the key thing here that you need to replace is this, which is the location of where you extracted your geckodriver to. So I extracted my geckodriver.exe in my documents. So wherever you extracted that to, get the location of that. So if you put it on your desktop, then it would be desktop, for example. Then the last thing that we need to link up is the Firefox binary. So now this is wherever Firefox is installed on your computer. Now for me, it is in program files on my C drive. So if it's not there for you, then all you need to do is search for Firefox on your computer. If you find the shortcut, right click, go to properties, and then it'll tell you where that shortcut goes to. And you just need to find the firefox.exe. So now that we have all of that, the bot should be ready to go. So let's go ahead and give it a run. One thing to keep in note, I just forgot, you have to put an R in front of this file path that we copied directly from Firefox. Either that or you need to put 2 backslashes in front, but if you put an R right in front of the double quote, then Python will accept that as a directory. Again, this code will be in the description, so if you're just copying it from that, then don't worry. So when we run it, it'll open a command prompt window, which is the geckodriver. And that's basically how Python controls the Firefox window. So as you can see, it opens up a Firefox window. Now, the one thing that you may need to do on the startup is go over here and allow autoplay. And then once you play, it'll start to play the song. Now, this is just a random song from the Minty URL playlist, which is just some lo-fi, but you could use whatever YouTube playlist you want. And then if you go ahead and go over to your chat, you could do commands such as skip, and it'll go ahead and skip to the next song. You can go ahead and do SR space a YouTube link, and it will play the next song in the queue. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and if you have any questions, be sure to ask in the comments, or you can join my Discord server or contact me on DLive. Thanks.